Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk here video. Would you be the jerk for refusing to allow your daughter to get married? We'll find out, but first the story from Fickle Life 9867. Am I the jerk for making my sister-in-law feel like crap about her weight? 35-year-old female, and my sister-in-law is 46-year-old female. I have 3 children, the oldest being 16-year-old male. For my birthday last week, my son went out and bought me this swinging hammock chair that I've been wanting for 2 years, and it cost him quite a bit of his saved money, which I fully intend to put back into his bank account so he can continue saving. He was so excited to see me open this gift and couldn't wait to help me set it up. I told him he shouldn't have, that it was a lot of money, and his response was, "You never get anything nice, I wanted you to have it." And it was true. I usually don't get anything for my birthday or Christmases outside of Tupperware or soaps. So it might sound stupid, but I've cherished this swing ever since he got it for me, especially where I finally have something nice that's mine. My sister-in-law comes over once a week to see all of us, and she immediately headed straight for my swing, which my son hooked up on our deck. I told her to please not sit on it, and she said, "Is there a weight limit?" So I told her, yes, 250 pounds. And I even showed her the box to confirm. She wasn't upset about this, she just said, "That's a bummer. They need to make something more capable of holding us big girls." I simply agreed with her and went about my business. At this point, my husband shows up from work. When I went inside to grab some drinks, her and my husband are talking on my porch, and not even 5 minutes later, I hear a loud crash, and my husband say, "Freak, are you alright?" I go out, and sure enough, she had sat in my swing and the crochet netting around the hook snapped on one side, causing her to fall right on her butt. She's sitting there laughing, gets up and says, "I guess I need to learn to listen." So I lost it. As I said above, I literally never get anything nice. Never. This is the one thing that I had that was mine, and it didn't even take someone a freaking week before they ruined it for me. So I said, "I literally just freaking told you not even 20 minutes ago that it would not hold you and to please not freaking sit in it." She makes some comment about, "Usually the weight limit's a lie, I thought it would hold." So I said, "The weight limit probably would have held you if you were only 50 pounds heavier, not 150. She's 420-ish pounds because she's one of those girls who eats food on camera for money, and she absolutely loves her weight. But regardless, instead of apologizing or offering to compensate me for my destroyed item, she's resorted to saying that I'm a crap bag for making her feel like her weight is a problem, and my husband's on her side. It's just a freaking swing. Am I the jerk? I think OP's definitely not the jerk here. And if the husband's willing to die on this hill, I think there's gonna not be really any way to get it through to them until OP can find something of equal footing to explain it to them. I'm not advocating for OP to actually go and try to break anything, but would you agree with me that the best way for OP to deal about this would be to find something that to other people might be small value or menial but means a lot to the husband, grabbing it, taking it to them and saying, "What if I fooled around with this and broke it? Especially if I broke it after you told me the very specific way it could break if I messed with it." Would you guys agree that that would be the best course of action? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is from Professional Art 3411. Am I the jerk for not correcting my son when he told his stepfather / my husband off? I've been married to my husband Jeremy since my son Chris was 8. He's now 17. My husband and him have a fantastic relationship, despite what the title may sound like. My birthday's in 2 weeks, and I honestly haven't put much thought into it. My husband's not a gift giver. He says he has a hard time figuring out what to get and doesn't want to waste money on something that people won't use. He's also just a practical person, whereas I'm by far the sentimental type. So even when he does get me something, it's something I can use every day. Which, no big deal obviously, but I've requested some sentimental pieces, and he just never gets them. So I pretty much gave up on ever asking for anything, and it did really bother me for a number of years, but it truly doesn't bother me now usually. Well, my son graduated a year early and doesn't start college until next year, so he currently works 2 jobs, his choice. I've asked him to cut back and enjoy his teen years before adulthood, but working just makes him happy. So he works at a mechanic shop and a junkyard. Most of his buddies work there too, so at least he's getting in time with friends. Well, my husband hates spending money and tries inflicting that on us. He lives as frugally as physically possible and saves every single dime that he can. he could retire right this second and wouldn't be able to go through all the money he saved. My son comes home last night with 3 of his buddies that work with him, and he's like, I know it's not for 2 more weeks, but I can't wait for you to open this, so please open it now. Him and his buddies are snickering about it, so I thought it would be some gag gift, but much to my surprise, it was a huge, absolutely gorgeous wall piece that has photo frames and shelves built in. My husband immediately was like, wow, how much did that cost? That could have went into a Roth IRA account. I don't know if I said that right. My son immediately shot cold daggers at my husband and says, it's truly none of your business what I do with my money, and since you outright refuse to buy my mother nice things that she absolutely deserves, I'll make sure she gets something nice. And for the record, we made this ourselves. Didn't cost us anything. My husband just stops talking, looks at me waiting for me to say something, and when I don't, he shakes his head and walks off. After the boys leave, he says I allowed Chris to embarrass him in front of other people, and I should have said something. I simply told him that Chris was right. Am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk in this situation because, realistically, I don't think OP had any grounds to be required to jump in and defend their husband in this situation. I think one thing most people can agree upon, though, is when somebody gets a gift for somebody else, one of the questions that they can absolutely refuse to answer and is also kind of trashy to just ask unless you know you have that kind of relationship with that person is how much they spent on any one gift. Let alone the fact that this son is working 2 jobs on their own volition. They have every right to spend their money the way they want to, and it's nice for the husband to look out for him, but he's also a major jerk if he tries to police every little way he spends his money. By the way, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss any of my daily videos. Every single video has awesome stories, like our next story from Out the Way Rio. Am I the jerk for taking my daughter to the restaurant my stepdaughter forbid us from? I, female 36, married Jeff, male 39, 2 years ago. He has a daughter, Alicia, 16, from his previous marriage, and I have a daughter, Morgan, 12, from my previous marriage as well. Alicia isn't closer to me nor Morgan, and she always has something to be upset about. For example, when me and Morgan moved in with her and Jeff, she tried to control where we can and can't go, what areas I was allowed to redecorate and put my furniture in, what room Morgan got, etc. Her excuse was that she wanted to keep the house how her mom left it as much as possible. Jeff asked us to be more patient and she'd come around eventually. She did come around, but still tries to control other areas of mine and Morgan's life. I had a million conversations that ended up with her throwing a tantrum. Jeff talked to her and told her not to try to control what Morgan and I do, ever, and she agreed. Morgan's birthday was days ago. We planned to celebrate at a restaurant and let Morgan choose which one. She picked a really nice restaurant that isn't over the top expensive, and we agreed the party would be there. However, when Alicia heard which restaurant we were going to, she went off on me and Morgan and said that we can't go to that restaurant because she had tons of memories there of her perfect old family, and she won't let us taint the memory for her. I found this beyond illogical and unreasonable. I told her she could stay home, but she said it wasn't about her being there. It was about the idea of me and Morgan being there with Jeff as family, when it used to be her mom, and Jeff. We got into an argument, and Jeff told me to tell Morgan to just pick another restaurant, but I snapped and told him Alicia had no right to dictate where me and my daughter go, and he shouldn't be encouraging her. He told me he wasn't encouraging anything, just trying to keep all parties satisfied. He told me to get Morgan to change the restaurant or he won't go. That was it for me. I decided I wasn't going to change it just because they wanted me to, and ended up going with Morgan to celebrate with just my mom. Morgan, of course, felt upset that her stepdad missed her birthday celebration. When I pointed this out to him, he argued that I literally gained nothing by insisting on this particular restaurant and upsetting Alicia, who's refusing to speak to any of us, even him, and ruined his relationship with Morgan. I said it was Morgan's choice, but he said I was the adult in the situation and have failed to navigate through it. Am I the jerk for still going to the restaurant although Alicia forbid us from it? I just wanted to make Morgan feel like she has a say and right to spend her birthday however she wanted. Would you guys agree with me that OP's not the jerk here, and that despite whatever previous memories the stepdaughter had, that OP's daughter had every right to choose that restaurant and have that birthday there and expect their stepdad to be there too? Let me know if you guys agree with me in the comments down below. Our next story is from an anonymous poster. Am I the jerk for keeping the whereabouts of runaway cousins secret from her family? I'm 19-year-old female. My cousin, 30-year-old female, ran away from home a couple of weeks ago. And I say run away because it's illegal for single women to live on their own in our country. If you want to rent a place, you gotta either have a husband or a brother or any other man with you, or otherwise a family member. Her family is absolutely horrible, and I know that their description of her as a mentally unstable woman is due to their own abuse, and she'd be much better off without them. So when my cousin moved away, she cut off contact with the whole family except for me, and I know where she went, but I chose to deny knowing anything about what happened or where she was to ensure that they won't use me to get to her in any way. Now my other cousin, her sister, followed me to the campus cafeteria and overheard me talking to her, and she completely lost her crap. She told me she knew I was hiding something and that I watched them go without sleep for several nights and whether I enjoyed putting them through this. She said that my cousin was mentally unstable and there's tons of predators around who could take advantage of her as a lone woman, and that I put her in severe danger by keeping it from her family. She said that they had to file a missing report and the whole family was in a mess thinking something happened to her. She said I was really heartless and merciless for having done this to them and demanded I tell them their whereabouts. Even though I was shaken by the guilt and the heat of the moment at the time, I still insisted that I only knew she ran away, but really didn't know where she was and refused to give her my phone to check whether it's true. After she was gone, I deleted our conversations and her number just in case. But I still feel quite conflicted about this and whether I really should have at least told them she ran away of her own volition and not kidnapped, etc. Or I could potentially put her in danger by not divulging her whereabouts since she might harm herself. Am I the jerk here? I think OP's not the jerk because really it's not OP's place to do that when the cousin very clearly wanted to leave on their own volition. To me, it sounds like they want to know where she is so they can go and stick them right back into the family cage, so to speak. Basically allowing that cousin to leave and stay free from a family that wants to control them. I don't think OP's the jerk for withholding that information. This next story is from AdLuckLark. Am I the jerk for accepting a free place to stay for college and not asking for my stepbrother to have the same? I got accepted into the college of my choice in another state. Almost immediately after I told my family, my paternal grandparents offered to let me stay in a house they own so I won't have to pay rent. I accepted. My mom and stepdad asked my grandparents about my stepbrother staying there also, since he was going to a college close to mine. My grandparents said the offer was only open to me, their grandson. This was badly received by my mom, stepdad, and stepbrother, who all think he should be afforded the same offer. I've been under a lot of pressure from my mom, stepdad, and stepbrother to advocate for him to stay in the house with me, or to turn down the offer if they refuse. I don't want to do this. Am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk for not wanting to go at bat for their stepbrother to have accommodations from their biological grandparents. The fact of the matter is these grandparents aren't related in any way to the stepbrother. They don't have any connection. They probably weren't there when the kid was born growing up. It's one thing for them to be cordial, but expecting them to give up room and board to somebody that, frankly, they're not related to, they probably don't have much exposure to, it's a bit much, and it's a bit much to expect OP to try to convince them otherwise. This next story is from Pink Addy. Am I the jerk for snapping at my younger sister and telling her my husband wasn't Prince Charming? My younger sister was 9 when I married my husband, and I'm pretty sure she's had a crush on him since. Over the last 7 years, she's completely romanticized our relationship to the point where she constantly makes comments about hoping to marry someone like him, even though she barely knows him, and I've told her repeatedly that life isn't just happy social media pictures. I've been staying with my mom and stepdad for the last month, and in that time, all my sister wants to do is talk about my husband. He's the last person I want to talk about right now, so hearing about how wonderful and perfect he is constantly has been making me angry. Yesterday, I finally snapped at her when her and some of my younger cousins were talking about boys, and my sister brought up my husband. She was saying how she wished her parents knew someone like my husband so she could meet her Prince Charming too. For context, I met my husband through my dad. When she said this, I snapped at her that my husband wasn't Prince Charming. My sister went quiet and quickly left the room. I did feel bad and tried to talk to her, but she locked her door and wouldn't let me in. She since told her parents and my husband. My mom told me that while she understood why I said it, I shouldn't have shattered my sister's fantasy just because mine has been, and that the version of my husband my sister thinks is real is the one she wants to marry, not the reality. She also said I embarrassed my sister in front of our cousins, and that's why she doesn't want to speak to me. My husband's been sending me condescending texts about how he disagreed since he was very charming and saying I used to be sweet. Am I the jerk? I'm guessing there's something that happened between OP and their husband to make them feel in a particular way about them not being a charming or necessarily outwardly great person. But I also think OP's not the jerk here because, let's be real, OP's sister is kind of crushing a little too hard on OP's husband. And frankly, I don't think OP would be the jerk for doing what they did if it was solely just to try to get them to back up a bit. Our next story is from AddictLights5475. Am I the jerk for returning the money my husband took from my family for attending our cookout? For context, my, female 28, husband, male 33, comes from a wealthy family and he himself has inherited a number of assets from his relatives. One of them is a huge house where we live right now with a pool and a huge backyard with lots of features. We decided to host our first cookout after we got married 7 months ago, and we invited both his and my family. That was on Friday. Both families came and we had lots of fun, then everyone went home later. I then got a phone call from mom and she didn't sound okay. She asked whether or not my husband took money from his family before they attended the cookout. I was confused. I asked what she was talking about, and she told me that my husband charged every single person from my side of the family who attended the event $25. I was utterly shocked and very angry and felt like this has legitimately damaged my relationship with most of my family because almost all of them came over. Not just that, but he got $275 from them. I was so livid, I hung up the phone and confronted him immediately. He told me my family got to enjoy the space and view and said that I should think of it as a resort cookout since this house has lots of luxuries. I told him it was a horrible thing for him to do and that what made it worse is the fact that his family didn't pay like mine had to. He laughed and then reminded me that his family gave him this house. I demanded he give the money back, but he said no, and that he won't even give it to me since the house is technically his. I went and took the money and gave everyone who paid their money back with a sincere apology from me. My husband found out and flipped out at me, calling what I did overstepping and disrespectful. I told him he shouldn't have taken money from my family for being guests at our house. But he corrected me saying it's his house and that he'd bet my family never got to attend a cookout at a house like this and that it was just $25. But I disrespected him and went behind his back and took money that wasn't mine. We stopped talking after this argument and he keeps venting to his mom about me taking his money that he earned his own way. I think it's one thing to ask for people to bring like food items if you're gonna have like a cookout, but straight up telling people to pay $25 when you invite them to your house for a cookout, I think that's pretty trashy. Doubly so when you're charging only the family of your partner and you don't even tell her that that's happening. Our next story is from Balconies 13. Am I the jerk for leaving my fiancé at the mall after he insisted that I buy him a $350 watch? Me, female 32, and my fiancé, male 30, Aaron, have been together for 2 years. I have a high-paying job and work long hours. He used to do a 3-week shift in a job that paid 5 times less than mine. We're on pretty great terms on everything except money. He's a big spender and spends so much on fancy stuff, although his job doesn't give him this luxury. He constantly likes and wants new stuff like watches, gadgets, electronics, and car accessories, and I do my best to use every occasion, like Christmas and birthdays and New Year, to get him what he wants. Lately, and after he lost his job, I've been noticing him tagging along whenever I go shopping, then having me buy him expensive stuff right there and then. I end up paying to avoid causing a scene in public because he'd beg me and then start throwing a fit if I refuse. I talked to him about it since it seemed like a pattern, but he said he just happened to see something he liked and thought I could pay for it. I told him I'm no longer feeling comfortable with this and that the next time he tries to put me on the spot, then have me pay for something he likes, then throw a tantrum if I refuse, then I'd walk out and leave him there. He crossed his heart and said he'd never do such a thing. On Wednesday, we went to the mall to get a Father's Day gift for my dad, and we walked by the accessory store. Aaron told me to stop and follow him as he entered the store. I knew this wasn't going well because he repeatedly tried on this watch that was worth over $350 and expressed his admiration for it. He then asked if I could pay for it, but I said no and lied about having only $300 for my dad's gift, which is why we were there in the first place. He then started going on and on about how cool and catch the watch was, then asked if my dad was more important than him. I looked around and saw people looking at us as he started raising his voice. I told him to knock it off, but he refused and insisted I pay for it. I just turned around and walked out of the store and out of the mall. I got in my car and went home. He started calling me nonstop, but we didn't talk till he got home. He blew up saying that I reacted ridiculously and selfishly after he begged me and I refused. He said that I made a joke out of him by walking out and leaving him at the mall. I told him what I said would happen if he decided to put me in this position again. He argued that all he was asking for was just $350 and even showed me a small notebook saying he's been writing down everything I pay for so he could pay me back. But I was too selfish to even consider it. He yelled at me, then went out to meet with his friends. His best friend tried to get involved by shaming me for how I behaved at the mall and hinting that what I was doing was borderline financial control. Am I the jerk? Should I have just paid for the watch? OP is definitely not the jerk, and this is financial control. Financial control of their own finances. Not buying your fiancé $350 using your own money is not financial abuse. It's not financial control. They're not going to dehydrate because they didn't get that splashy $350 watch. They're not going to starve to death either. They're not going to be shamed and looked down upon and feel lesser because they didn't get a $350 watch. This next story is from AITA Maybe Bridezilla. Would I be the jerk for disinviting a guest for my wedding over the color of her dress? My 23-year-old female wedding is at the start of August, and I've been confirming RSVPs this weekend to finalize seating and catering, etc. I ended up chatting with one of my uni friends, B, 24-year-old female, and we got onto the topic of clothes for the wedding. And B was saying how excited she was to dress up as she hasn't been invited to a non-family wedding before. Now, while we're both British, B is ethnically white, whereas I'm South Asian. She said that she wanted to wear a sari to my wedding, so I told her a few places she could get a nice one, and she went shopping. I did tell her that red was our bridal color, so it should be avoided. In my community, you don't wear bridal colors, whatever they may be on the wedding reception itself. The Sangeet, Mendi, etc. are different. Now she's saying that she fell in love with a red and gold sari and has bought it. I told her that's the color of my bridal gown, and she needs to find another outfit. She said she's sure it won't matter on the day, but that's the equivalent of someone wearing a white dress to a Western wedding. She's refusing to compromise and change her outfit because she loves it so much, and she won't have another occasion in which it's appropriate for her to wear a sari. I don't want someone wearing red and gold on my wedding day. Would I be the jerk if I uninvited her over this? I think OP's not the jerk here. I think as the person throwing the wedding, if somebody expressed that they're deliberately going against the wishes of whatever you want your wedding to be, you shouldn't feel like a jerk for uninviting that person for not respecting the rules that you want to have for your wedding. Our next story is from AITA Cloth 35. Am I the jerk for refusing to ground my son when he called my father-in-law pathetic? My husband and I have 2 kids, Ryder, 21-year-old male, and Juliet, 16-year-old female. Both of them are close to both sets of grandparents and visit them regularly. Juliet is discovering her style and she's experimenting with clothes, hairstyles, and makeup. Ryan gave her a sewing machine last month and she kinda went nuts with this, doing a lot of pieces for fun. Since Julie's still a minor, we set a few rules because we believe that, even when she's expressing herself, there's still things she shouldn't wear. Like no see-through things, no large cleavage, and no minis. She's always mixing patterns, colors, prints, and textures, pants under skirts, dresses as cardigans, big earrings and necklaces, etc. Sometimes it does feel like too much, but that's just fashion, isn't it? She seems happy, and we don't think it's fair to call her outfits ugly when she's just having fun and experimenting. She still tones it down when it comes to family gatherings because she's afraid people will say something. It's important to add that Ryder 100% supports and encourages his sister. Most of the funny jewelry that Julie owns are things Ryder bought for her, and as I said, he gave her a sewing machine recently. She also makes some shirts and is trying to make him a jacket. Yesterday was Ryder's 21st birthday, and we decided to have a small party just with family. Julie asked Ryder what would be his theme so she could dress accordingly, but he said she could dress however she wanted, and I swear, you could see Julie's eyes sparkling. She ended up wearing a weird combination but looked happy, and Ryder said she looked pretty. As soon as everyone starts to come, they eye Julie, but nobody says anything. I noticed my father-in-law making a face, and when he wants to give Ryder a few words, he says, "It's time to address the elephant in the room. Juliet looks awful. Go change to normal clothes, little girl." Ryder just rolls his eyes and says that a 70-year-old man bullying a 16-year-old is pathetic. They start to fight, and my father-in-law demands I punish my son, but my husband and I refuse. He made Julie cry. I think OP is not the jerk. First of all, I don't even think they were really calling the father-in-law pathetic specifically. I think they were calling their actions pathetic. And frankly, I would agree with Ryder that what the father-in-law did here was pathetic. They might not understand a 16-year-old experimenting with clothing and expressing themselves, but that doesn't mean that they have the privilege to try and force them to conform to what the father-in-law thinks is the correct way to dress. And our final story of the day is from Background Walls 9413. Am I the jerk because I told my daughter it's wrong to let her brother, her cousin, and others get married at our home, but not allow her sister to do so? My second eldest child has gotten engaged. She's in the process of planning her wedding next year. My eldest child and her husband own a ranch and farm in our neighboring state. She's hosted weddings before. My youngest got married to his wife there. My niece got married to her husband there. I know she's done the same for one or two of her husband's relatives also. My second eldest wanted to have the wedding there. My eldest originally said yes. However, she changed her mind when more details about the guest list came out. She was made aware that my second eldest daughter would have a large guest list. Her and her fiancé intended to invite 600 to 700 people to the wedding. Between families, friends, and colleagues, they knew a lot of people who would attend. Plus, the staff or catering, setup, and other logistics can easily bring the total of bodies to 1,000. My eldest has a large property. It can take hours to drive from one end to the other, and on horses or on foot, it can take over a day to get there and back. It would be understandable if she had a normal house that all these people wouldn't fit on. However, the property is large. She said any weddings or events she's ever had have never been more than 100 or so bodies, including staff, and she's never had something so large. Although she's never charged a fee or any money to host weddings, my second eldest daughter was willing to pay her, even though everyone else used it for free. However, my eldest still backed out. There's a wedding planner who will have charge over the staff, will take care of any logistics, and who has insurance, so everything would be controlled. My eldest is still saying no now. My wife and I told her it was wrong to open her space to her brother and others, but not her sister, as well as to back out over the size of the guest list when the property has so much room. My eldest wasn't happy to hear this. She got into an argument about it. I'm disappointed my eldest is denying her sister what so many others have been allowed to enjoy, as the property is a beautiful place for a wedding, and they have more than enough room. In this situation, I think OP is the jerk. It's one thing for the daughter to open their property to the relatives for multiple weddings when it's a wedding of manageable size, but expecting them to just freely or low cost anyways, open their property for a wedding 10 times the size of any one that they've had. Or another way to look at it is take both those weddings that previously were held there, combine those parties, and then multiply that by 5? It's just so mind-boggling and so many people. I don't blame them for being overwhelmed or not wanting to go through with having 1,000 people on their property, regardless of the amount of insurance or logistics that are overseeing this whole thing. It just sounds like a scary nightmare. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another Am I the Jerk Here story that was crazier than any of the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or if you missed my latest video, click on the right. But with that said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.